let's spend just a few minutes talking about some of the options you have for your cast appearance. So you know that you can right click on a form to add some cast. You know that you can take this tool to zoom in on an area, and you see the default appearance is these blocks. I kind of like the blocks, but a lot of people like letters. If you go up to options, you have view options. View options has a lot of options on it, but they're divided into areas. So this one, cast captions, has to do with your cast. Cast appearance, this whole area has to do with your cast. Number one thing you might want to change is to check this, and this will show a caption on each block. And that's what the captions look like. See these small numbers? If you want to make them bigger, go to options, view. You get to choose a font, whatever font you want. Say Times New Roman can be your font. And then you type a size in here, let's say 12. And by doing that, you've made the numbers bigger so you can see your cast IDs. You also have on this, you can show the letter symbol for the cast. These are all B because they're brass, and we'll talk about how letter symbols get assigned. You can also show it as the index. The index means what order are they on a form. So people on a form are considered to be in some order. So if we drew a line form here, take our cast pointer, you select some casts, drag them onto this form. You see how they're in a certain order here. And you click on the open area to deselect. You take your form tool to drag this form wider. You can see 0, 1, 2, 3. This is the order of the people on the form. If you wanted to show their ID number, this is their ID number. The ID number is assigned by Field Artist, and it's unique for every cast member. On options, you can also go up here to sections. Now you have these sections that are built into the program, brass, woodwinds, etc. And you get 16 of these. And if you want to change these, you just type in a different name. Now you can type in a different name. You also get to choose the symbol for this, whatever symbol you want it to be. And it doesn't have to be one letter. It can be two letters. So we can make XX be Timbales, for example. So now we've defined a new section. So you can, in fact, if you want to, select all of these people here, go up to Cast, Properties. Now notice where it says multiple here, because you have more than one. That's why the first name and last name is blanked out, because you're actually changing properties for multiple cast members. So we can actually change them, and this drop down here lets you change the section. So we can actually make them Timbales. This appears in the list because it's a new section that we just added. So now they're Timbales. Now another thing you can do at the same time is you can also change the color of these. So you can actually change the fill color and make it yellow. So now these Timbales are yellow. Now going back to our captions, if you go to the view up here, letter symbol, now these are B because they're brass, and sure enough these are Timbales, and their XX is their caption because they're Timbales, and they're a different color because we made them a different color. Now another thing you can do that people like to do is, and we've covered everything in this section, it's all about your captions. Now the appearance. You can show the cast as symbols. That means instead of having merely a block, now you've got the B is the symbol. So in other words, you could actually turn this off now. You don't really need that anymore. Now you have the letter symbol itself. See, the XX is right on the member instead of being a caption. As a matter of fact, you can have both. You can show cast captions as an index or as an ID number. Now you've got your letter symbol for your cast member, but they still are showing the ID numbers. And if you don't want this colored background on here, you can turn that off too. So to get cast appearance, we're showing them as symbols. If you don't want the background, you turn that off and you just see the letter symbol. So to make that even more clear, we'll select a few of these and we'll change their cast again. We'll change their cast properties and make them woodwinds. Now the woodwind is a W, so all these appear as a W. It's kind of nice though to have a background color on it. So if you want to, you turn the symbol background on, and then you get the nice background that's showing the color. And by the way, we can change these to any color. We can take our cast properties and make the woodwinds a certain color. Maybe we can make the woodwinds I don't know, purple. Now another thing, you can also change your font. So we can really make a different font for. Got all these crazy fonts on here. Any font you want. And if you want to make these bigger or smaller, by the way you do that is letter symbol size. This is the actual size that these letters appear. So if you make this 90, these are going to be a lot bigger. If you make it 50, they're going to be smaller. The new cast size relates to the actual width of these when they're not letter symbols. If they're letter symbols, this is the size that applies. If you're going to use the ordinary block, so let's change these back to blocks, it has a certain size that this appears. And if you don't like this size, you can actually say right click on this person. You can actually change his width. Let's make this 35. You can actually make him a little bit bigger than the rest of the people. But your new cast members, whenever you add cast members, they're going to be a certain size. So you have the option to make all your people, whenever you have them appear, say, you can change them to, and this is expressed in half inches, by the way. So you can express this as say 70. Let's just make it very exaggerated. And now whenever you add new cast, that's the size the new ones come out. It doesn't affect the ones that you had here already. These are just some different options you have. So we've talked about show as symbols, we talked about the background, the font, the letter size. You can also change the outline width. If you really didn't want it to be 1, you could change it to 3. And then you would get a fatter outline on these. See how I changed that outline width to 3? Oh yeah, this is important. In 3D mode, you can show uniforms. So all of these cast members have a uniform. And they're still showing their ID numbers, which, by the way, you can turn on or off by just typing the letter I. And the letter I is a shortcut for a menu option that says View and Show Cast Captions is I. So you can turn that off by typing I. All of your menu shortcuts are beside the menu item. If you want to find zoom normal is equal, zoom out is minus, they're all beside the menu choice. So you see you have uniforms for all of these, and we'll talk about how to define uniforms later. But if you don't want to see uniforms for some reason, you can turn uniforms off. And if you turn them off, this is what you get, just blocks. So they're in 3D, but they're just blocks in 3D. I like to show the uniforms, so go to Options, View, Show Uniforms in 3D. Now you see your uniforms. And if you zoom in on this area, you can see them even closer. See, these guys are fat because we changed their width. That also applies in 3D. If you make it fatter, it's going to be fatter in 3D too. So that's this sideline of the homeless is very important, and we'll talk about that more. But it basically means if people aren't assigned to a formation, put them up on the sideline. And if you don't check this, you're actually better off when you're writing shows, because then the people stay on the field, but they stay in the last position they were. And you'll see why that's important later. This smooth lines is something that just gives your appearance a little bit smoother shape. It slows the program down a little bit, so you can experiment with turning that on or off. If you turn it on, you get a warning. You will find that your uniforms and everything, in fact, draws just a little bit smoother. See how they have those smooth edges? If you turn this off, it's a little bit more jagged, but the program also runs a little bit faster if you turn them off. So it's just an option that you have.